My name is Greg Gamble, and I'm a landscape architect and land planner. I'm a consultant for the owner of the property at 354 Franklin Road. And tonight is a neighborhood meeting to talk about a proposed Envision Franklin Plan amendment that we plan to present to the city of Franklin. I know Zoom meetings are sometimes a little awkward, but we have a couple of ways that we want to hear from you tonight. We have the chat menu, and you should be able to find that on your screen. If you open that up, you can feel free to type out any questions that you may have during the presentation. After the presentation, we'll open it up to questions and we'll answer any questions that are on the chat bar, um, or any questions that you may have verbally. You can just simply take yourself off mute and ask. So I'll get started. This property has what's called a hillside hillcrest overlay district on it, and that's really meant to protect the hilltops around Franklin. Those HHO boundaries are determined using a combination of GIS data. Sorry, I'm letting someone in real quick. GIS data, elevations of contours on hillsides and hillcrest, steep slopes, tree lines, and view shed analysis from major thoroughfares. This dark green area that you're seeing on the property is that HHO boundary. And in Envision Franklin, it's identified as a conservation area. So an area set aside and protected. This other green, dark green area here to the north that crosses the railroad tracks, Machatcher Parkway, that's the 100-year floodplain, which is also a part of the conservation policy in Envision Franklin. We are requesting that portions of the conservation area be removed as they more closely relate to the intended goals of the HHO policy determination. So I'll talk a little bit about that. This dark purple area here is where we're proposing the new hilltop hillside overlay line be located. The orange line is the existing HHO line that was determined around 2009. We are proposing that along the western side of the property that the HHO line follow the 702 contour interval starting at the existing tree line and traveling north, and then it drops down to the 682-foot contour line. On the right side of the plan, we have two areas that are not 14% slopes or greater. And in those locations, we are requesting that the HHO line follow the slopes that are 14% or greater as normally established throughout the city of Franklin on hilltop hillside overlays. On the west side of the property, the HHO line that exists today crosses through a created football field. Alongside the eastern edge of the football field is a berm that was created so that people could watch athletes play sports. And the HHO line crosses through an existing barn in this location. So by moving the HHO line to the 702-foot contour, we're following really the start of the hill and the natural slopes that are going up the hill. We've done some view shed analysis looking at the proposed HHO line. And from Franklin Road, there is a raised railroad track. From Franklin Road, your view is obstructed from the railroad track. And we're showing that from that line of sight, the area that we're talking about removing from the HHO would not be visible and would not be seen, even with a two-story structure. It would still be screened from view because of the railroad track and its position and its location. We have a video that we want to present. This video starts on Matt Hatcher Parkway and shows you the four-way intersection at Cool Springs Boulevard. We have highlighted in the video the proposed and existing hilltop hillside overlay. And you'll see that the proposed hilltop overlay line is still screened from view from Matt Hatcher Parkway. You can see on the bird's eye on the right, kind of where that HHO line is. Now we're going down Franklin Road, and you'll see the railroad track right in front of you. Even these buildings cannot be seen from Franklin Road. We've ghosted them in the background so you can kind of see where those are in the perspective. And so a lot of this area that we're talking about taking out of the HHO conservation area has been a part of the farm in the past. It's where the barn is located. It's an area where in the past, previous owners had turned this into sports fields. There's a baseball field located here. This is where a football practice field was located. And so we're asking that this conservation line follow along the existing tree lines that are out here now, and the areas where they're not steep slopes. With that, I'll open it up to questions. If you do have a question, just feel free to take yourself off mute.
What is the reason for wanting to move it? Because, as you know, Greg, once one person asks to move the hillside line, then everyone will start asking. And I was one that worked very hard to get this hillside ordinance. So, protection. What's the driving reason for it?
Sure. The HHO lines typically established in Franklin based upon the base of the hill, or where 14% slopes start, or where an existing tree line is. And the HHO line here, for whatever reason in 2009, stretched out across the farm field.
Mhm.
And we're simply proposing that it follow the tree line up to this point here, and then follow the tree line until it goes across and ties back just on the other side of the barn, as opposed to the HHO cutting through the existing barn and cutting across the existing farm field. Does that make more sense?
I don't, I was just wondering, I was thinking there must be a reason for something you're going to do on the development that would make you go to this trouble.
We don't have a master plan at this point. We would like to consider a master plan at this point, but we really want to establish the HHO line based upon the logic that's been used throughout the city of Franklin for other HHOs that have been established based on.
Does this have, is staff recommending this?
I don't know that staff's made a recommendation of approval. I think that we're
Okay.
just starting the process.
Gotcha.
We did present to the Planning Commission at a joint conceptual workshop and got some feedback from them. We've asked for feedback from neighbors at this point, and once we make a formal application and start moving through the process, we'll get more comments from staff, I'm sure.
Okay.
We have met with staff multiple times on the property. We have walked this area. We flagged the existing HHO and the proposed HHO. So there's a lot of familiarity about where this is being proposed.
Okay.
Sherry, did you have a question?
Excuse me?
I was just wondering if you had a question. I noticed that you took yourself off mute. So
Well, it's a lot in line of what they're asking. It doesn't sound like you're comfortable being fully transparent of what the goals are when you say we don't have a master plan now, we hope to have one. It means there are some thoughts. So being that my property or two of my properties are within 500 feet, it would be nice to know what that is.
Right now, we're trying to establish what that development area could be for the property. And if this is supported by the Planning Commission, I think we would start exploring more about what would be developed here. Right now, the policy on the property is rural reserve, which is for a half-acre lot residential subdivision. Half-acre lot is the minimum lot size.
Got it. And where would that traffic run to? Mac Hatcher?
Mac Hatcher Parkway.
Well, I understand. I understand some of the conversation because there's some logical. You're kind of pointing out like it's illogical where it is now, is what I'm interpreting. But I appreciate the value of fighting for that space because that is one of the most beautiful little pieces of that area. And I do agree, once you start with one, as we all know, hard to control.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the view sheds to the hills protected and that any proposed architecture is tucked in below the view sheds from Franklin Road, Mac Hatcher Parkway. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, half acre lots is very dense though. Or you said quarter acre, half acre?
Half acre is the minimum lot size.
Oh, got it. Got it. Well, thank you for answering my question.
Absolutely. Any other final thoughts or questions?
Yes, I've been off of mute and you haven't said a word to me. You recognize
Elaine.
Sherry. I'd like to know why you didn't recognize me.
Yeah, sorry.
I have a comment and I have a question. We've lived here for over 53 years. And just like Sherry stated, that we have multiple properties, the families that live here on the Ash Drive area of Franklin. We don't want to see anything develop there because we understand that there's more to it than what they're all planning. And they have told us for 50 years with our land behind our home that we could never build on it because it wasn't buildable. We'd like to know why that changed all of a sudden when the new owner comes in and decides that he wants to place whatever it is there. Obviously, there's going to be some rezoning issues that's going to come about this that could affect the people dearly around this area here, including the persons that live on Franklin Road. And that's not being clarified with this as well. It needs to stay the way that it is. It's been that way for long time. We have a lot of seniors that live here in the area that have been here for a very long time that would not like to see all of this hustle and bustle coming into the main corridor of Franklin. That's my comment behind it all, is that everybody wants to talk about that there's no master plan behind it. Obviously, there's something that's being made behind it. If you guys are talking about moving a line that has been there for I don't know how long, and it's been sitting there for a very long time, it needs to be reserved. We have a lot of wildlife that are in and out around the area that are being pushed into our backyard from other developments that are happening all around the city. And we don't mind that. But one thing I do mind is noise and traffic. Another thing I do mind is people trying to connect to our streets. An invasion of privacy. We have to understand we have lived in this area our entire lives. Our grandparents lived on this area before it was even a neighborhood. And a lot of the things that they're proposing and they're stating that people had created burns to watch football games and all this other stuff that they're talking about that area, none of that stuff is true. None of it's true. I look out my back window at that property for 52 years. I've never seen anybody run a football across the field over there. And no one should be doing that. It should be reserved. All the way into this city, we have a lot of Civil War things in which this city that is known for that needs to be protected. We need to be extremely protective of this development, and it needs to remain the way that it is. to protect these persons that not only live on Ash Drive, but also the persons that live up and down Franklin Road, including a lot of the hustle and bustle of development that's continuing on. It could set up, as the minute that this is passed through, it could set up a lot of people to be eminent domained out of their homes. So I don't understand when they say that there's no master plan behind all of this. We're not understanding that one bit. That's my comment. We're just definitely not for it. It doesn't need to happen. Nothing needs to transpire with the land. There's already a development that's going on across the street from us that's getting ready to come into effect that we discussed in our last session. Okay, so that's another thing. And we have all these different things that are going on at the farm that's over there. At the Harlingsdale farm, that's just across the street, you have the new development that's over here on Harpeth. I forget what it's called, but that's a new, beautiful development that's over there. How are they supposed to get traffic in and out? There's got to be roads that are going to be connected in and out through that development, and they're going to come through this neighborhood. So that's the whole list. That's what we sleep on every night as residents here, and what we have to get up on. So they need to stop proposing all of this stuff stating that this is what's going to happen. They don't know what's going to happen. They would never bring it to you, Greg, if they didn't know what the master plan would be. I'm going to go back on mute. I'm so sorry, you guys. My neighbor is grilling, and they've got a lot of people that's over here. So I'm going to go back on mute and let you respond.
Okay. So we don't have a master plan for this area yet. We're hoping that the City of Franklin Planning Commission would consider a conservation policy that would be, in our opinion, more in line with some of the other HHO areas that are established in the City of Franklin. We are protecting the tree mass and leaving the HHO line exactly where it is along Ash Drive. That's not changing. I know that there's an access that's over at Matt Hatcher Parkway, aligned with Cool Springs Boulevard, that's constructed now. I know that this property does touch Ash Drive, but I'm with you. I really don't expect that the city would want to see anything other than some kind of pedestrian connection or emergency connection to Ash Drive. I'm making an assumption. But this field right here was you can see kind of that arc. I can zoom in on it a little bit more. This is the old baseball field right here. And this rectangle right here was the football field where they would practice. Hope that adds some clarification.
Well, not really. I mean, we're basically here just having a meeting from where people are stating. I'm sorry, did anybody else have anything to say? Were there any other questions, Greg? Did anybody go off mute?
Yeah, we've had a few.
Did someone else have anything to say before I respond to that?
I have a question.
Okay, I'm going to go on mute and let you finish.
Sure.
Thank you. I also live on Ash Drive, and we received a letter a year ago with a proposed plan. And it looks like the request is the same for the land use. Is that correct? Or what has changed from the request a year ago to today?
Sure. A year ago, we were requesting that the Envision Franklin policy be amended from rural reserve to village green. It met some opposition, and so we have backed off that to leave the policy as rural reserve, but to request that the conservation area be amended.
Okay, but am I correct? It looked like, do you have that drawing from a year ago's proposal? Is the land use the same? You just might use it differently, but the actual acres of land that homes and buildings would be used on is the same request as a year ago?
It's similar. Yeah, I'll say it's similar for sure. I don't have it handy, but it's similar in the HHO request, yes.
So,
but instead of asking for the village green concept, we're leaving the policy as it is right now, just the rural reserve.
And so I don't understand all the terms.
Okay.
But what's changed from last year to today? in the way that the land could be used. If this proposed change happens, could there still be dense businesses and homes there, or would it only be half-acre lots?
Yeah, the rural reserve policy says that the smallest lot size possible would be a half-acre single-family residential home.
Okay, so it's a huge change from what was envisioned a year ago,
Yeah,
where there were
with
businesses and
townhomes and neighborhood commercial, and yeah, it's different.
Oh,
Okay.
I want to say, just chime in real quick, Mary Pierce, and say I really appreciate that. That it is staying rural reserve.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you both. I just have to chime in on this. When you talk about rural reserve, can someone tell us here as residents on Ash Drive what that means?
It means it means it has to be single-family residential homes.
So it can still be developed.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear you say. So they're still proposing to build.
Yes, there's a potential.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what I needed to know.
Okay, sure, no problem. Any last thoughts or comments or questions?
I have a comment if no one else wants to go.
Surely.
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying to rush you because I've got dinner on. I said I was going to make spaghetti, and I don't know how this is going to pan out. But anyway, this is our comment. Again, we've been residents here for a very long time and trying to protect the land has been for a very long time. I, as you all know, have a half-acre property behind my home that's a long time. My sons and I have children, grandchildren that would have loved to be able to build. We were told for years that we could not because that the property was not buildable. They need to be told the same thing. They need to be told the exact same thing. It needs to remain the way that it is. We have sit here and we have gone into retirement, getting ready to go in a housing bubble. Behind all of this, being told the entire 50 years that we are not able to build. In order to provide fairness to the citizens of Franklin, none of this should be touched. It shouldn't be developed at all. There's just too much that they're asking to do, even if it is single family homes. There's too much that they're asking to do that's going to be a potential to other people being affected tremendously. My home sits right there where that line starts. The line goes strictly straight through my back property. And so I had to make that comment. And that's all I have to say. I'm going to cook dinner and we'll be at the meeting.
Thank you, Ling. We are going to have an in-person meeting on August the 19th that should have been in the invitation letter as well. And you're welcome to join us then. And if you have more thoughts and comments, we'll be available. That meeting starts at 5:30 and is in the Jameson Station building. Thank you all so much for your time tonight. Really, really appreciate you joining us.